Hi everyone, welcome to this week market update. So basically this week will be quite a relatively short one. Um, as usual, we'll go through what happened last week economy. Basically last week we on the market itself, we can see that the China industrial productions it actually is way better than slightly better than the forecast and better than the previously. So it actually give a sign of the market is like recovering on the China side. And beside that, one important thing to bring up is actually on this the let me see the crude oil inventory. To crude oil inventory, the data came way below the forecast. This to say that actually the oil currently inventory is actually lower than what they expected. So this actually bring up the height of the price itself. As you can see that from since Tuesday, the oil price has been spiking up. But beside this oil inventory, actually one of the reason is due to um, you know the Saudi minister tell the trader not to gamble with OPEC because they actually reduce their supply. They are good. That is where it caused the market, the oil price to go even higher as well. But on Friday itself, the price actually stopped going up. One of the main reason is because the Libya actions they actually came in. They are going to continue to have some productions over here. So this actually caused the market to for the oil price to continue rally on Friday itself. And ultimately, right, we don't forget one important thing is that oil is not just by supply and demand. On the demand side, we can see that China crude oil import are slowing down. So as we know, China is the biggest market. While they mentioned that the oil import are slowing down, even though you no matter how many supply you out there, right, as long as there's no demand, you can keep cutting on the supply, but it's not going to k- it's not going to help in the fundamentally of the oil itself. So I will remain oil at the bearish side at the current moment. Looking at the chart wise, there might be some immediate bounce back, but we will depend on what coming out because OPEC is actually arranging for one meeting coming weeks as well. So this on the economic calendar. And we also know that last Wednesday, FOMC rate remained as 25 basis point. So due to that, is actually causing financial sector not doing well. That's why I mentioned manual cut on the Goldman Sachs on the counter, which I recommended to enter long. So the chart wise on the weekly, as I shared in the Telegram, is actually breaking below the triangle. So that's why I do a force sell, and I will continue to monitor from there as well. So next thing, interesting news last week is actually Trump announced to shut off TikTok's WeChat. So this might actually cause, as we know, WeChat is the biggest market out there for China people, right? And if let's say they have to ban it, then China is very, not convenient for China people after all. So this might actually cause China to reiterate maybe something else to surprise us in the market as well. But of course, it's just a news, so we will see what will this affect or what is the effect of after this news later or the coming week. So see how will China uh, fight back on this news from the Trump itself. All right, so let's go directly to the charting itself. On the chart, for Dow Jones, let me take a look for Dow Jones. So previously I mentioned, all right. So my target, my it still remain the same. I'm still waiting for it to come down to this circle area, which I shared last week as well. So the hardest part right now, because this is actually 20-day followed by 40 days moving average. Usually when we are doing trading, right, if let's say the price fall between this 20-day and 40 days, right, the price is actually up down up down, so it's very hard for trader to trade lah. So if let's say you are going to short, you remain short all the way right there, it should be one-way trip. So if let's say you are stuck in between, that's why I didn't give a lot of call. All right, as you can see, because we are actually in a range mode right now. So unless you are shorting with um, counter they are not doing good in the US stocks, or you are longing counter that is extremely strong. So if let's say the counter is strong, right, even though with the bearish outlook, right, it will still not be so big impact on the counter itself. All right, so I will remain bearish on Dow Jones Index at the moment. And for Nasdaq, right, Nasdaq is actually interesting because it actually break below. Is the weakest amongst the three index. So right now it's fall at a 78 Fibonacci. All right, or it penetrates somehow. So my target is the next target is 61.8. But after all, right, overall Nasdaq is still on the uptrend. All right, overall it's still on the uptrend. This is considered a pullback lah. So I don't think it's a bearish, but it's a pullback. So I will see more pullback coming on the coming week. But you must understand that technology is still a strong sector after all. So it will not be one straight like what happened in COVID, right? So I will look at 61% Fibonacci on this Nasdaq. All right, I bias on the downside. All right, things to share on couple of counter. One is BNTX, if you remember the arrowhead. So this is like similar. It's a biotech on the healthcare. So we are actually trading on the range right now. So waiting for pullback and to long. So we just continue lah, follow trade with the trend lah. Trend is your friend. All right, that is what we do. Next thing, Carnival. All right, Carnival is one shares that I will try to avoid right now. I will try to avoid right now. All right. So because understand that Carnival, they plan to sell 11 or 12 of their old ship, their cruise, and they also want to um you know plans to offer 1 billion stock offering lah. So 1 billion stock offering. So as we know that if let's say in theoretically, right, if let's say stock offering will usually dilute the current share price, all right, the current earning per shares. But if let's say it will, but doesn't mean it definitely will. So it's ultimately it still depend on what will the company do, what will Carnival Corp do on the 1 billion after they do the stock offering. If they are going to use the stock offering to pay their debts, their operation costs, right, then it's not going to give any extra value to the shareholder. Correct or not? Correct or not? So ultimately, right, if let's say cruise sector is still depending on the CDC to lift the no sales order so that they can start, selling their business, selling their ticket. So as for now, right, market is still very uncertainty for the cruise itself and coming out with this news, and we understand that the company also mentioned their net loss nearly 3 billion in the third quarter. So with this kind of fundamental news, right, I know that Carnival is right now at the bottom. All right, it's right now at the bottom. You can see from the chart thing itself. All right, if let's say you're going to break this support, right, I'm going to see the all-time low. All right, $7 plus or $8. Possible, possible. I will be sharing this screen in the Telegram, not to worry, so you can read more on here. All right, and one more thing, right? Carnival is one of the popular stock under the Robinhood lah. So we know that Robinhood is one of the so-called the brokerage firm, right? People will use their brokerage firm to spike up the counter. They give a lot of buy call on this kind of rubbish counter. So just now, Carnival call and leave is fall under one of them lah. So it's one of the things to avoid in September as well. So if so many negative news in Carnival, then I will try to avoid from there lah. All right. Next thing is USD Canadian. I will remain my buy call on this forex pair as well. So it's right now ranging after your breakout. So I believe it will continue to search higher. So we shall continue to monitor as well. I will hold on to my position if you have entered based on my Telegram call. Then just hold on to it. All right. We are making money at the point of time. Um, all right, so that's all. Two more thing to share. Basically, this is more on the long term lah. So it's a risk reward. It's quite worth taking the risk. It's up to individual whether you want or not. All right, one thing worth taking the risk is actually Gilead. All right, Gilead Science. So right now we actually plunged back. With low volume. Can you see the spike up is high volume? This is because people speculate the vaccine is from them, and then it came down. So right now, this is the major support. All right, this is the major support, $61 here. So the risk reward is good. If let's say they break below, then we start looking at the next 100-day moving average. But it's worth taking the long, but overall we must see some trade signal. All right, we must see some entry signal. So I will provide a call if let's say it's time to enter. So it's worth taking the risk lah. Next thing for long-term investor, you may also consider in this counter is called GE, the GE General Electric. All right. So looking at this chart itself, you can see that in the monthly, this is the money chart. We can see that it actually touches the global financial crisis price around $5 plus. All right, so right now the price is actually at 688 closing. All right, so good thing is that the free cash flow is turning positive in 2021. So it's good to enter for a long-term risk reward. Of course, when we go for long-term investor, it's the growth of the company. But ultimately, right, if let's say the free cash flow is turning positive, I will be looking good at this counter itself. And looking at the day chart itself, you can see that it actually spiked up on the last 2 days because of the CEO over promising on the positive cash flow. All right, if there's some pullback, you can actually long. Of course, like I said, this is long term lah. All right, long term investing. So if you want to trade, you can wait for a pullback because we actually right on the volume itself. All right, so that's all for this week. Stay tuned. If there's anything that I can enter in the market, I will share in the Telegram. All right, have a nice weekend. Bye bye, everyone.